So much love and appreciation to those of you who have been with me for the 2 year period plus that I've been doing this. Thank you for showing your love and support to the channel. And to anybody else who is brand new to the platform and you would like to support the channel, also, you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you. Judges issued a restraining order against Puerto Rican superstar Ricky Martin. The order was signed Friday, and authorities visited an upscale neighborhood in the north coastal town of Dorado, where the singer lives, and tried to serve the order. Up until now, police haven't been able to find him. It is not immediately known who requested a restraining order. Valencia stated that he could not provide further details because the order was filed under Puerto Rico's domestic violence law. El Vocero, a Puerto Rican newspaper, stated that the order states that Martin and the other party dated for several months. The reports quoted as the order to saying that they broke up 2 months ago, but the petitioner states that Martin did not accept the separation and has been loitering near the petitioner's house at least 3 times. Valencia stated that the order prohibits Martin from contacting or calling the person who filed it, and that a judge will later determine at the hearing whether the order should remain in place or be lifted. He also added that usually orders are implemented for at least a month. Valencia noted that the person who filed the restraining order did not contact police, which would have involved prosecutors determining if there was enough evidence to file charges. Rather, the request went straight to the court. So, since I don't really happen to see this mentioned online, nor do I happen to see hashtags or anything like that for people of the LGBTQAI community, bringing awareness to this, let me just sit up there and do this and start with this to basically show how much of this is a problem, right? 9 quick statistics about DV and the LGBTQ community. Number one, 43.8% of lesbian women and 61.1% of bisexual women have experienced rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner at some point in time in their lives, as opposed to 35% of heterosexual women. Number two, 26% of gay men and 37.3% of bisexual men have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime, in comparison to 29% of heterosexual men. Number three, in a study of male same-sex relationships, only 26% of men call for the police for assistance after experiencing near lethal violence. Number four, in 2012, fewer than 5% of the LGBTQ survivors of intimate partner violence saw orders of protection. Number five, transgender victims are more likely to experience intimate partner violence in public compared to those who do not identify as transgender. Number six, bisexual victims are more likely to experience sexual violence compared to people who do not identify as bisexual. Number seven, LGBTQ Black/slash African American victims are more likely to experience physical intimate partner violence compared to those who do not identify as Black/slash African American. Number eight, LGBTQ white victims are more likely to experience sexual violence compared to those who do not identify as white. Number nine, LGBTQ victims on public assistance are more likely to experience intimate partner violence compared to those who are not on public assistance. Then we're going to go through some other ones. Types of DV affecting the LGBTQ community. 20% of victims have experienced some form of physical violence. 16% have been victims of tooth threats or intimidation. 15% have been verbally harassed. 4% of survivors have experienced SV violence. 11% of intimate violence cases reported in NCA DVP's 2015 report involved a weapon. Now, it's amazing to me that you have both the LGBTQ and you have the heterosexual allies, right? That always talk about the violence, right, that occurs when it takes place with heterosexual people, or better yet, just black men, towards the LGBTQ IA plus community, right? But yet, I went through those statistics. You didn't hear anything having to do with heterosexual men at all. This had to do with people who are part of the LGBTQ and what specifically they identify as, and then they further broke it down by percentages and who is more likely to go through this versus others. And I'm a little bit confused on why it is that none of these groups specifically want to bring up these statistics that you have a greater majority of yourselves harming and going after yourselves versus anybody else. So during Pride Month, I didn't hear anything about these statistics. During Pride Month, I didn't hear anything about this, going on with Ricky Martin. And I'm a little bit confused as to why it is that during Pride Month, you would have individuals not want to bring these things up, but make it seem like everything is a party, everything is happy, everything is good, everything is great. But yet, by going by the stats, you have a lot of people who are going through DV at this moment in time who are part of the LGBTQ IA community. But yet none of this gets listed. Whenever I turned on to YouTube and I saw commercials for Pride Month, I didn't see anything about these statistics. I didn't see, DV awareness for that community at all. Whenever I got on Twitter or IG, I didn't see anybody list any of these stats. I didn't see anybody talking about these things. I didn't see anybody trying to bring awareness to these things. Like I said, it's a little bit one-sided when it comes to what it is that is getting promoted, right? And in one angle, you have all of the happiness and all of this, great time and all of this partying stuff, right? But on a whole other end of the spectrum, this is real life. This is what it is, right? The same exact thing, right, that you see happening everywhere else is the same exact thing that happens within their community by way of their own people. And now you have Ricky Martin, who is a celebrity, right? High profile, millions of dollars. And this is what he is doing to an ex-partner. He's going out there stalking. He's going out there standing out or loitering outside of the house. Like, dude, y'all broke up. But yet you want to still try to find your way to be in that person's life. You still want to have some type of closure or a conversation or whatever it is. And now it's turned into an obsessive nature, which can later then turn into violence. But yet nobody wants to look at this up until it reaches that point, and then they want to call it out, and then they want to bring awareness to it. He's done this 3 times already. So how many more times are we going to wait? Are people going to wait up until what? The guy loses his life? Up until Ricky Martin pulls some type of stunt and does some other type of thing, and then people are gonna be like, oh well, this is so sad that happens, and I'm sorry for both families involved, and da 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 da. And, like, it's crazy. It's the craziest thing to see people all the time want to wait until the last minute, and then you want to care. But when you have all the information and the time in the world, or at least a little bit of information about a situation or a scenario, everybody want to stay silent. Nobody wants to act when they have a little bit of information. Like I said, they told you what it is that this dude did. And yet, it's complete silence on social media. It's complete silence when it comes to the LGBTQIA community. And like I said, it's even more silent when the stats that I read off, I didn't know anything about these stats. I just decided during this video, I'm like, you know what? Let me just, see what they got. Let me type in some stats, right? Because they're always saying that heterosexual men, especially only black heterosexual men, are the only ones basically attacking and going after the LGBTQIA community, right? That's been the main story, just like the whole thing with the attacks on the Asian community. It's only black men that sit up and do it. It's only black men out of the whole world. It's only black men that literally go after every other community, which is completely absurd. That notion by itself is completely absurd. It's ridiculous. We don't even have the numbers to consistently go after somebody, how they make it or how they portray it during their narration of a lot of these stories. Because we all know that within proximity, those within proximity are going to go after themselves more than any other group. That's just a fact. That's just a fact, right? But yet, here we are. I gave you stats, I gave you numbers, and you still hear silence. I gave you a story about a potential DV that might just so happen to take place because Ricky Martin is giving some stalkerish type of vibes to an ex, and guess what? Silence. So like I said before, all of this nonsense about the LGBT basically caring about themselves and all this other that's looking like a lie at this moment in time, because y'all got a lot of y'all people out here suffering in these relationships, and y'all ain't saying nothing. Y'all ain't really bringing awareness to it. Y'all got all of these people all over YouTube that y'all want to sit up here and promote to do makeup tutorials, dances, and vlogs, and all this other type of stuff. But when it comes to stuff like this, y'all completely silent. I don't see none of those platforms bringing awareness to this. Y'all got a whole bunch of shows talking about the LGBT community, and y'all ain't really talking about these stats and going over this and making this a real topic, quote unquote. And y'all supposed to be educating people. Y'all ain't really educating nobody. That's crazy. You want to educate people more on, pronouns or whatever it is versus the actual value of life of another human being. That's crazy to me. Y'all out here losing y'all lives and going through these situations, and ain't nobody saying nothing. But whatever, I'm just a heterosexual male. What do I know? Realistically, I shouldn't even be covering the story because, as most people would say, I don't have the knowledge base, dealing with this community in order to properly go over and talk about this story. That's what, some of them out there would sit up there and say. So I guess I'm wrong for pointing out the fact that, things like this do happen and that y'all don't really talk about it. All right. I'll let it be what it's going to be then.